I love Psalm 104. I love, 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 love it. It's a passage full of extravagance of the Creator, the attention to detail, the care, the prolific creativity. And verses 24 through 26 are some of my favorite verses. Really, the last line of verse 26 is my absolute favorite. Verses 24 through 26 talk about the ocean. We know that the ocean is teeming with life. It is full of so many creatures and mysteries and different ways of doing life on this planet. It almost feels like an entirely different planet, and it is the majority of this planet. We know so little about the world Creator made and placed us in. And Psalm 104 takes that unknowing and names it playfulness. The sea monster, or Leviathan, was a catch-all for the big things in the sea that people did not understand. And Psalm 104 verse 26 tells us that the big unknowable things of the sea were created for no other purpose than to play. Now, of course, we know that the sea is an intricate ecosystem where everyone plays an essential role and no one is there just to play, just for the sake of play, but this is still how the psalmist chooses to talk about Leviathan, or the sea monster. Now, in Hebrew conception, the sea was chaos. It was unknowable. It was scary. It was frightful. It could be deadly. Chaos was not a good thing, not necessarily a bad thing, but a scary thing, a deadly thing. And in Hebrew literature, Leviathan, translated sea monster here, was the height of chaos. Leviathan wasn't a word you'd say when you talked about play. It was a word you would tell late around a summer campfire, or when warning someone not to be too cocky on the water's surface, without regard to the dangers just below. Literally, you would say, monsters lie here. And Psalm 104 was bedded into a culture that sees the big mysteries of the deep as dangerous. And worse than dangerous, chaotic. It tells us that those chaotic and scary mysteries were made by Creator to play. Most translations say to frolic. And I love that about this passage. I love that it reminds us that there's always room to play. In scary spaces, there is room to play. In sad spaces, there is room to play. In the midst of chaos, there is room for play. Maybe sometimes we force ourselves to play. Maybe sometimes we play in a way that rehearses and explores the chaos, fear, and grief of our lives, like a child who scraped her knee, then plays with their dolls and says, "It's okay, Dolly. Mama will clean your knee. It will get better." Whatever form our play takes, the dreadful Leviathan, the terrifying, chaotic deep of the sea, is created with the intention to play. We know, therefore, that Creator has woven play into the very fabric of the universe, and therefore we know play is our constant invitation in good times and in bad times, in easy and in hard, in busy and in spacious, happy and sad, organized and knowable, as well as chaotic and threatening. God made Leviathan to frolic and play. And so we know that play is a part of the very nature of our world, even its most scary, unknowable parts. And so as we review a year and a half of quarantined life, our next question is, what is your story of play? I wonder, in this chaotic and sometimes scary time, in this grieving and sometimes hard time, where have you found play? What is your story of play? Our question this week is, what is your story of play? Maybe it's a movement, maybe it's a moment, maybe it's a theme, maybe it's a thread that is woven throughout your whole story of the pandemic so far, maybe it's one day. What is your story of play? For an example, a story might be for me. As many of you know, my oldest has been having some health struggles lately, and it's been difficult for her to keep food down. We've tried so many meds and food changes and doctor's visits and urgent care and the ER, and there are things the doctors believe will help, but they require space in the hospital that they don't have right now. So as a side note, but one that I think belongs in church, but it's clearly not about play, when we hear that hospitals are full, and turning folks away, or postponing non-emergency, those still essential procedures, that must impact our way of living. If we follow the Jesus who says whatever we do for our most vulnerable siblings, we do for him, then we have to believe that Jesus is the first one turned away from a full hospital. And coming to Jesus' table every week means making room for Jesus in Jesus' most vulnerable state. It's time to mask up and vax up as you can, and keep loving distance so that our hospitals, like the city of Bethlehem, can have room for the Christ child. And popping back from my diversion to my child, we've tried so many things, and hopefully in a month or so, there'll be room in the hospital and we'll find a medical solution. But over the last 2 weeks, I've discovered something that can stop my oldest child's stomach upset without fail so far. At least I hope, knock on wood. You wanna know what it is? It's literally magic. Okay, I will tell you. A raspberry in her ear. You know, not the fruit, but that hybrid of a kiss and spit right in her ear. Every single time, it's gotten to the point where she makes this pained and uncomfortable, scared face, and she knows what will fix it, so she points to her ears. I give her a raspberry in one ear, and laughter proves to be the best medicine we've got. So then she gives a half smile and points to the other ear, and I give her a raspberry in that ear, and her face eases from pain to play as she laughs, her trademark loud laugh. Literally, in the chaos of unknowing, in the painful space of having no idea how to help my kiddo, she invited me to play, and we found the fix there. God created Leviathan to play, and apparently God creates this kid for some very serious sillies. I wonder, what is your story of play while in quarantine?